Hey, welcome to another edition of Fantasy Dream Home. So glad you're here, and we got a lot to cover today. Today we're going to Kansas City, and we're going to zoom right in here, and we're going to stop right about here. So Kansas City, as you can see, these are all these yellow are major interstate highways, and they're all converging on this point right here, and this is the state of Missouri, or if you're from, a lot of people say Missouri that are residents there, and this is the state of Kansas. There's Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. And it's separated by a couple of rivers, actually. The Kansas River, which starts out in Manhattan by Fort Riley, and then the more importantly, the Missouri River. And the Missouri River, we're going to back up just to give you an idea. It is the largest river in the United States, and the textbooks get it wrong all the time. They keep telling people that the Mississippi River is the biggest river in the United States. Here we have proof, the longest rivers in the United States, as per the United States Geological Survey definition of main river streams at 2,341 miles from source to mouth. The Missouri beats out the Mississippi. The Mississippi is about 2,200 miles. So, and to give you an idea of how big the Missouri is, we're going to see the headwaters start way out here. We're going to zoom in out in Montana. There's a park, the Missouri Headwaters State Park, and we'll zoom in here and you can see it's the confluence of two rivers. So, and I don't even know right now. So you got this river, right? This river, where they come together. This is the start of the Missouri River, and they have a little. I drove by within about 10 miles of this, and I was too lazy to get off the road to go see this park. But here's the start of the Missouri River right here, and they have this little place where you can park and get out, and if you want, go over on that sandbar and touch the water, and you can say, hey, I was at the headwaters of the Missouri River. And the Missouri River goes along like this, comes into North Dakota. You can actually see it coming down like this, and it comes down here, and it comes through South Dakota, and it defines the entire eastern border of Nebraska and a lot of the western border of Iowa. And matter of fact, it comes right in here, and it enters Nebraska border at this little town right here called Gross. Trivia: Gross, Nebraska is a village in Boyd County, Nebraska, United States. As of 2010 census, the village had a population of 2, down by 60% from its 2000 population of 5. Yes, we're not saying 200 or 2,000. We're saying 2 people. And they, believe it or not, there are places like that where they can, I don't know, they fill out the paperwork and they say, okay, Gross, you are a town. Okay, whatever. So anyway, so here's the start of the Nebraska border where the Missouri River comes in, and it's going to continue to flow along this, goes by Gavin's Point in Yankton, comes down around Sioux City, then it, zoom back out here, goes down by Omaha, and it continues on. Now we cross Nebraska into Kansas, and that's St. Joe, Missouri right there. And we go by my town where I went to high school, Atchison, Kansas. And there's Atchison right there. And then we end up in Kansas City. And Kansas City has got about 2.1 million people, metro population. And here's the Missouri River coming along like this. And this river right here is the Kansas River. Like I said, it comes from out by Manhattan, Kansas, and it connects to the Missouri right here. One other notable thing that I want to show you, this is located in Independence, Missouri. And we're going to zoom in right here. And I always thought this was really cool. More cities should do this. Here we have two, not one, but two giant sports complexes. So this is called Harry S. Truman Sports Complex. And here we have Arrowhead Stadium. It's a football stadium. It's home of the Kansas City Chiefs NFL football team. And then over here, we have the baseball stadium for the Kansas City Royals. It's called Kauffman Stadium, and it's where the Major League Baseball team, the Kansas City Royals, plays. And it's a very beautiful stadium. I haven't been there for more than 30 years, but it's unique in that the park's best known feature is the fountain and waterfall display. It's known as the Water Spectacular behind the right field fence. It is one of the largest fountain displays in the world. The fountains are on display before and after the game and in between innings while the waterfalls are constantly flowing. And I think that they are also going whenever somebody hits a home run.
Keep them in the game a little bit longer. Speaking of that,
that ball might get wet. Splash!
There you go.
So the reason I am pointing this particular feature out at Kansas City Royals Kauffman Stadium is because fountains form part of Kansas City's core identity. The city has over 200 working fountains, and it is officially nicknamed, quote, City of Fountains, unquote. And in 1992, the city added City of Fountains to its official corporate seal. So Kansas City was founded in the 1830s as a Missouri River port at its confluence with the Kansas River coming in from the west. It's known for a lot of things. It's not just fountains. It's known for its long tradition of jazz, music, and culture, especially theater. The city was the center of the vaudevillian Orpheum circuit in the 1920s. It's also known for its cuisine, including its distinctive Kansas City-style barbecue. Kansas City really is the barbecue capital of the world. If you love barbecue food, or if you like barbecue food, you should consider attending. And this year is going to be a big event. They're celebrating 4 years of competition barbecue at the what's known as the American Royal World Series of Barbecue. And it's the world's largest barbecue event. And you can see right here, they have all of these tents up where you just walk around and you can sample the barbecue. And of course, you have to pay for it. And there is actually a cookbook by the Kansas City Barbecue Society. And I actually have this cookbook right here, and now there's a 25th anniversary edition. And I suspect since they are celebrating 40 years, there's probably going to be a 40th anniversary edition going to be coming out, probably, I'm guessing, in 2020 sometime. So I'll include this website in the show notes, and it'll teach, and it will tell you everything about tickets and registration, and all about the event and the history, and it's got all kinds of great information. If you like barbecue, think about attending this event. It's absolutely huge. There was even a YouTube video called American Royal World Series of Barbecue in Kansas. It's in German. Okay, and people from all over the world attend this event because there are people seriously competing.
Die Barbecue-Weltmeisterschaft. 563 Teams aus der ganzen Welt treten gegeneinander an. Dem Sieger winken $12.500. Zum ersten Mal ist auch ein deutsches Team dabei. Stefan, Günther und Alex aus Bayern waren noch nie bei einem so großen Wettkampf und schon gar nicht beim größten der Welt.
It's a pretty cool video. You know, it tells you about this team coming in to, like, people from all over the world come in to compete and to try to get there, because there's some serious prizes here. Okay, so our real estate website today is, we're going to be using Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services. And there were all kinds of really cool looking houses here, and this is a very good website. Just going to elucidate here just for a second. If you don't know who Berkshire Hathaway is, Berkshire Hathaway is owned by Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett, I don't know if you've been living in a closet, he is one of the richest people in the world. They say here he's an American business magnate, investor, speaker, and philanthropist who serves as the chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. He's considered one of the most successful investors in the world, has a net worth of US of $89.9 billion as of May 4th, 2019, making him the third wealthiest person in the world. He's also known as the Oracle of Omaha. And some people want to know, he's not a flamboyant rich person at all. How big is Warren Buffett's house? He's lived in the same house since 1958. He bought it for $31,500, and in today's dollars it'd be $250,000. It's now worth an estimated $652,000. He calls it the third best investment he's ever made. It's 6,570 square feet, has 5 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. You know, for a billionaire, there is nothing fancy about this house. Now, I will tell you, I've actually driven by this house, and I will not disclose where it is to protect his privacy, but it's in a, what I would say is a highly unremarkable neighborhood. It's just a normal neighborhood with, very nice homes, not super fancy homes, just upper middle class homes, very nice homes, nothing to sneeze at, but nothing to make your jaw drop or anything like that. You would easily drive by his house and not know you just went by the third wealthiest person in the world's house. So Berkshire Hathaway, the company that Warren Buffett runs, the stock has been amazingly successful. And if you could invest in one stock in the world, this would be the one that I would recommend without a doubt. Unfortunately, it is extremely expensive. It is right now trading as of this date at market close yesterday at $322,451 US dollars per share. It's enormously expensive. But one of the things you have to realize, the stock price is based on what a wildly successful company it has been. They're headquartered in Omaha, Nebraska, Warren Buffett's hometown, and they wholly own companies like Geico, Duracell, the battery manufacturer, Dairy Queen, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, the railroad, Fruit of the Loom, Helzberg's Diamonds, and then they wholly own those companies. Then they own a significant share of companies like Heinz Kraft Company, American Express, Wells Fargo, the Coca-Cola Company, Bank of America, Apple. They own huge chunks of these companies. Now here's what's amazing to think about. Berkshire Hathaway has averaged an annual growth in book value of 19% to its shareholders since 1965. compared to 9.7% from the Standard & Poor's 500. I mean, that's a phenomenal company to invest in. So, but enough about Berkshire Hathaway. So Berkshire Hathaway Home Services is backed by a super solid company. So I want to show you something else. So I started scrolling through the houses in Kansas City trying to pick, and I'm scrolling. Okay, yeah, fine. But whoa, wait, what's that? Right away, I was thinking, that's got to be Frank Lloyd Wright. So I clicked into the listing, and here it is right here. It says right here, now's your chance to own an early Frank Lloyd Wright unison style masterpiece. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Frank Lloyd Wright. So Frank Lloyd Wright is probably one of the most, if not the most famous architects from the United States. A lot of interesting things about him and his style. So according to Wright's autobiography, his mother declared when she was expecting her first child would grow up to build beautiful buildings. She decorated his nursery with engravings of English cathedrals torn from a magazine to encourage the infant's ambition. So Wright went on to, of course, study architecture. And where did he study? He studied at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, the main Wisconsin campus. And Wright believed in designing structures that were in harmony with humanity and its environment, a philosophy he called organic architecture. Between 1900 and 1901, Frank Lloyd Wright completed 4 houses, which since have been identified as the onset of the Prairie style. So what is the Prairie style, or the Prairie School of Architecture? Prairie School is a late 19th and early 20th century architectural style, most common to the Midwestern United States. The style is usually marked by horizontal lines, flat or hipped roofs with broad overhanging eaves, windows grouped in horizontal bands, integration with the landscape, solid construction, craftsmanship, and discipline in the use of ornament. Horizontal lines were thought to evoke and relate to the wide, flat, treeless expanses of America's native prairie landscape. Usonian is another word coined by Frank Lloyd Wright. Usually refers to a group of approximately 60 middle-income family homes designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. The Usonian homes are typically small, single-story dwellings without a garage or much storage. They are often L-shaped to fit around a garden terrace on unusual and inexpensive sites. They are characterized by native materials, flat roofs, and large cantilevered overhangs for passive solar heating and natural cooling, natural lighting with clear-story windows, and radiant floor heating. Another distinctive feature is that they typically have little exposure to the front or public side, while the rear or private sides are completely open to the outside. A strong visual connection between the interior and exterior spaces is an important characteristic of all Usonian homes. The word carport was coined by Wright to describe an overhang for sheltering a parked vehicle. In addition to his houses, Wright designed original and innovative offices, churches, schools, skyscrapers, hotels, museums, and other structures. Wright was recognized in 1991 by the American Institute of Architects as the greatest American architect of all time. He was a prolific architect, so one of the best places to see Frank Lloyd Wright's work is in the Chicago suburb of Oak Park. And right here you get an idea. These are all homes that were built by Frank Lloyd Wright in Oak Park. If we take a look at a U.S. map, you see that as when he was young, his most of work started in Wisconsin and then in the Chicago area, and it branched out from there. And then as the years go on, you click from 1911 to 1942, he starts to branch out and where he is building. And then after 1945, he's pretty much building all over the country. Probably one of the most interesting and most famous Frank Lloyd Wright architecture is a place called Falling Water. And it's a house. Look at this house. It is absolutely amazing. It actually has not really a river, it's more of a creek that runs underneath the house and through the house. Falling Water is Frank Lloyd Wright's crowning achievement in organic architecture. And the American Institute of Architects calls it the best all-time work of American architecture. Period. And if you really can, it's apparently it's right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You should go see Falling Water. I'd love to go take a tour of it. And they're paid tours, but I think if you can appreciate architecture, you would really appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk about this first home. It is going for about $1.65 million, and I'll put the conversions up for the other currencies, and keep in mind that these currencies are only relevant for the time that I did the research. There's 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. The interior space is about almost 3,000 square feet. It sits on about 1.4 acres of land. It was built in 1940. Clarence Saundern commissioned Frank Lloyd Wright to design the home in 1939. It was constructed in 1940. The Saundern house is a single-level home with flat roof in Wright's classic Usonian style. Masonry sections provide the support for many walls of glass. There are long overhangs on many portions of the house and a carport for the family vehicles. So let's take a virtual tour of this first fantasy dream home, this beautiful Frank Lloyd Wright architecture home. Okay, so that was our first home, and I don't know about you, but I love Frank Lloyd Wright's architecture. I absolutely love his style. I love the way he works with light. I love the fact that the bigger windows are going to be facing the back of the house, and the smaller windows are going to be facing the front for more privacy. So you're not really going, if you're passing by the house, you're not really going to be able to see into the house like you can in a lot of homes. You will see into the house if you're in the back of the property. And the back of the property on these properties typically is facing forestry or Mother Nature. I mean, you're not facing other houses. So to me, it's just really super smart design. So our second house is going for about $4 million. It's got 5 bedrooms, 5 full baths, and 2 half baths. The interior space is not listed in this listing, which I think is outrageous. You got to tell us how big the interior space is. Tell us how many square feet it is. The lot size it sits on is 1.85 acres. It was built in 1995. This 1.5 story Mediterranean style mansion is located on a premier corner of Ward Parkway. Okay, so let's take a virtual tour of this next fantasy dream home. Hi, it's Paul, and I wanted to take just a moment to show you the Fantasy Dream Homes Pinterest page. You can find it at pinterest.com/fantasy dream homes. And it's got, if you like looking at mega $1,000,000 homes and super luxury homes, you're going to love this Pinterest page. Let's look at our boards. Some of the boards that we have, they include, everything from magnificent master bedrooms to ultimate master bathrooms, walk-in closets, home office ideas, shower ideas, front doors that dazzle, grand entryways, staircases to heaven, lavish laundry, cozy cubbies, gardens and landscaping, swimming in style, all kinds of great pages. And you can also look at high-end appliances that you can expect to find in Fantasy Dream Homes, designer art glass. We also look at different architectural styles. So if we go into architectural styles of homes, then we break it out in whole different categories: Queen Anne style, craftsman, contemporary, Italianate, federal style. So there is a lot to be found on our Pinterest page. We hope you take the time to visit, and we hope you follow us on Pinterest as well. Hope to see you on our Pinterest page. So our third Fantasy Dream Home is going for $5.5 million. 5 bedrooms, 7 full baths, 3 half baths. The interior space is 15,060 square feet. That is a record on Fantasy Dream Homes. The biggest house we've seen so far, I think, as of yet, or about 1,400 square meters. The house sits on not even an acre of land, 0.98 acres, and it was built in 1993. This mansion was inspired by Ashford Castle in Ireland. And there's Ashford Castle in Ireland. Apparently it's a castle hotel right now. It was built of custom hammered stone and English ashlar pattern in 100-year-old Carthage marble that came from a home that was raised to make room for the Kemper Museum. Architectural details consist of 18-foot ceilings, hand-scraped oak floors, original stained glass, mid-19th century hand-carved fireplace mantel, round dining room with 200-year-old hand-sculpted fireplace mantel, and custom mural. And there's the elevator for all floors. So let's take a virtual tour of this Ashford Castle lookalike, and the biggest interior square space we have yet to see in Fantasy Dream Homes. Okay, so that was our third fantasy dream home. I was wondering what you thought of it. Even though it was the biggest interior space, it didn't look overwhelming. Strange how that can happen. So our fourth and final home is going for about $7 million. 8 beds, 7 full baths, 2 half baths. Interior space is 14,986 square feet. It's another really biggie, or approximately 1,400 square meters. Sits on about 2.4 acres of land built around 1913. It's often called the Corrigan Sutherland House. This Art Nouveau home is dressed with Frank Lloyd Wright influence, and it was designed by the architect Louis Curtis, who was once described as the Frank Lloyd Wright of Kansas City. The home features low-hanging wide eaves and ribboned fenestration set in stone surrounds. Entire estate is built with shot sawn limestone and marble from Carthage, Missouri. Construction on Bernard Corrigan Mansion started in 1913. Corrigan was successful as a building contractor, street railway developer, and real estate developer. We're going to stop there and talk about the fundamentals of fenestration, because I didn't know what fenestration was. Great article that appears here in Form-Based Codes Institute, written by Steve Price. And once we talk about fenestration, you're going to understand it. It's pretty easy to understand. How much of a building exterior is covered with openings, in particular windows and doors, how transparent the enclosing glass is, and how the openings are arranged are issues of fenestration. Not all form-based codes concern themselves with building fenestration. One could debate whether fenestration is also about walkability. It's clearly more interesting to walk past buildings with windows and doors than ones without. Just as important, fenestration influences the social character of public spaces. Fenestration affects how welcoming the building is and whether it participates with other buildings in creating a visually harmonized, immersive landscape. A neighborhood plan, a view from above showing the layout of streets, blocks, and building rooftops, leaves out this important thing that a form-based code can provide. What is the quantity and quality of the fenestration on buildings? And they quote Jeff Farrell, "A city is an ecological balance of things public and things private. Fenestration is the portal between the two." When the wall pane of a building is visually impenetrable and doesn't appear to have openings, it affects not only the welcoming feel of the building, but also the social feel of the public spaces it faces. And then there's this article about this home, the Bernard Corrigan Mansion. What's the story on that house? And this appears in kcmodern.blogspot.com. It said construction on the Bernard Corrigan Mansion started in 1913. Corrigan was successful as building contractor, street railway developer, and real estate investor. His company was the builder of the house. He died before its completion. After several short ownerships, the Sutherland family, and the author says Think Lumber, bought the home and lived here for a number of years. It is often called the Corrigan Sutherland House. One of the most architecturally distinctive houses situated on one of the most dominant lots in Kansas City. This Louis Curtis design is a tour de force. Curtis meshed a number of elements, creating at first look the prairie style and Frank Lloyd Wright's work. On closer examination, one sees Art Nouveau masonry relief, arts and crafts ornamentation under a Mediterranean tile roof. This unique home was constructed with long span girders and reinforced concrete, unusual for its day. The craftsmanship is impeccable. The eclectic mix of elements create a house of subdued exuberance, truly a masterpiece. So let's take a look at our fourth and final fantasy dream home. So one final note on our Frank Lloyd Wright home, our first home. If you want to see this home, the home will be auctioned without reserve on August the 12th. Previews will be held August 9th through the 11th from 1 until 4 in Kansas City, Missouri. So definitely want to check out that home if you're a Frank Lloyd Wright fan, if you happen to be in the area. So that was our fourth and final fantasy dream home, and we're curious to find out which one you liked the best, what you thought of Frank Lloyd Wright architecture. You can put all your comments in the comments section. We invite you to tell us what you think. We also invite you to subscribe and become a member of our group Fantasy Dream Homes. We also have a Pinterest page we'd like you to check out. We put a lot of time into that. And there's a lot of architecture, not just architecture, but also some amazing home decor at pinterest.com/fantasydreamhomes. So that wraps up another edition of Fantasy Dream Homes. We hope to see you next week. We thank you so much for spending the time with us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, keep smiling, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.